Welcome to this edition of Simsbury School News. My name is Dominique Avery. We're going to focus today on efforts in Simsbury to promote student interest in STEM subjects. STEM has nothing to do with plants. It stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. The show will be in two parts. Part one will focus on the high school robotics team, which just returned from a competition in St. Louis. And part two will introduce you to the high school teacher who is running Camp Invention for kids in grades 1 through 6 this summer. Don't know what that is? Stay tuned. But first, robotics at the Simsbury High School. So our guests include Joncia Litwinick, who is the Director of Instructional Technology. That's always a mouthful. Yes. She's the person who started the robotics team 6 years ago and continues as a coach. Also coaching is Kurt Dugan, who is the Coordinator of Technology, Education, and Engineering at the high school. And finally, we're joined by Allie Dom. Dom, is that how you pronounce it? A senior at Simsbury High School and a co-captain of the first robotics team. Welcome to all of you. Thank you for coming. Boy, that was all a mouthful. Joncia, I'm going to start with you. So you told me the other day that First Robotics is the high school's after-school robotics club 7th year.
Yes.
What was that made you start the club in the first place?
Well, it was a parent. I had a parent of one of the, a junior, and he works for United Technologies, who is a big supporter of First Robotics. And he had come to me because he wanted us to start a club. And you really need a sponsor to help you with this. It's quite an expensive endeavor, and it's also where you need to have mentors from the industry. So he talked to me about it, and we went to a off-season event called Bash at the Beach. And so I went down there, and I went to a few classes that they had also, plus the competition. But I was in the competition, and I just loved it. I mean, I walked out of there with the biggest smile on my face because I saw so many kids in there, and they were just, some of them had their costumes on. We've seen how they do that. and they were just so excited about what they were doing with the robots. And there was loud music playing, and it was just, it was like a big festival, and it was exciting. And also, so that was fun. I knew the kids would get energized by it. They'd be enthusiastic. And also the fact that they offer so many scholarships, like over $30 million of college scholarships for kids. And I thought, how can we not be, allowing our kids to have this, having this opportunity for them? So that was kind of what sold me on it, the excitement of it, and that it does such good work, and it gives the kids the opportunity to work with people in the industry. And besides, I was missing kids. I used to be a classroom teacher, and I lost that connection. So for me, that was my selfish reason for doing it. But I also thought that how can Simsbury not offer this opportunity to students?
Oh, I'm so glad I asked you. It's an interesting story. Allie, so you're a senior now, and have you been involved since you were a freshman?
I actually started my sophomore year.
And so what interested you? Was it the fun or the technology or?
Well, I took the freshman engineering course, and I was taking the sophomore engineering course, and Mr. Salonia was my teacher that year, and he's also a mentor in first, and he advertises the club very well, and so I decided to try it out with one of my other friends, and I just really liked the culture of the team and like getting real-world experience for the major that I wanted to do for college.
So did it help you decide what you wanted to study in college, or did you know already?
Well, I had an idea of that I wanted to do something with engineering, but it wasn't, we have sub-teams on the team, so it wasn't until I got to robotics and was put onto the mechanical sub-team and was building things that I realized that this is what I want to do.
That's fascinating. So it actually works. I mean, it introduces kids to STEM subjects and especially girls, right? So where are you going to college?
I'm going to Purdue University for the College of Engineering.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, Kurt, how did you get involved?
Well, Joncia and I work very closely together, and she asked if I wanted to get involved. And I'd been to a number of competitions before we were involved and had an interest already. And because my assignment has me at the middle school and high school, I thought it'd be really interesting to see the growth from 7th and 8th graders building simple little wood projects and drafting projects to the robot. So that growth, it's kind of like coaching a sport when the pee-wee soccer up through high school. It seems to see that progression is just amazing.
So far we've been dancing a little bit around the question of just what FIRST Robotics is. I mentioned at the beginning that you just came back from a competition, and when Johnsy and I chatted earlier this week, she suggested I watch a video that you watched that set up this competition. So I'd like to show our viewers a little bit of what that actually looked like.
Welcome to the first robotics competition and the 2017 game, First Steamworks! 2 adventurer clubs, alliances of 3 teams each, prepare for a long-distance airship race by collecting fuel to build steam pressure, installing gears to engage rotors, and climbing aboard for liftoff. The airship best prepared for flight when the launch timer reaches 0 wins. Matches begin with robots touching their Alliance station wall. Teams may preload up to 10 fuel elements and 1 gear on each robot. Fuel is available in hoppers placed around the perimeter of the field.
So, Allie, you guys saw that video, which we just saw a piece of at the beginning of January. It describes a little bit about what you had to do, what you had to make your robots do. After you saw that video, what happened then? You saw this sort of strange video and this project. So what happened then?
So as soon as the video finished playing, it was kind of a rush for printing out the game manual, which goes into more depth about what the game is and like all of the rules. So I was helping with printing that out, and then the other kids on the team, we split them up into little groups to start brainstorming like ways to play the game. We didn't want them to talk about mechanisms yet. We wanted them to decide, do we want to do gears? Do we want to do balls? Do we want to climb? We talked about strategy for I think, 5 days probably, until we allowed them to start talking mechanisms.
So they give you a scenario. They say you need to solve this problem. You need to get these balls into some baskets, all right. Let me step back a little bit. This year's game is called Steamworks. Kurt, what did that mean? What are they trying to get kids to do?
Well, the part of the Steamworks was to shoot balls into a boiler to build up pressure, and those are really points for us. In our strategy session, we felt that the value of the pressure or the points the balls would award was not high enough for us to pursue. So our strategy eliminated the balls from our robot, and it proved to be very successful strategy.
So what did you do?
We climbed and we put gears on very quickly.
So you had choices of
doing the steam, or putting gears on, which you would then get the rotors to work, because you want to take off. That's the whole thing. So you build up pressure with the balls, and you also have to put rotors on, so you put gears so your rotors start spinning, and then you want to have, if you're all ready to take off, you want to make sure that your robots are on the airship so you can take off, so you climb. So that's their whole little storyline that they did. So
we're going to post a link to the video on the website, and anybody who's interested can go see more, because it's pretty hard to understand when you're just talking about it.
It is.
So let me go back to a couple of sort of more fact-based things. What is I kept misunderstanding. First Robotics is the name of the contest, right? When I first read it, I thought it was the First Robotics thing that you went to. And then I said, oh, no, it's called First Robotics.
Yeah.
How many kids are on the team?
We have 44 on our team, and 30 of them are the more active group of members. And we all work together.
And what's it called?
Our team is called SimCity.
So is that a play on Sin City or Sim City?
Simsbury.
Okay.
Yeah, not Sin City.
Yeah, I sort of wondered about that.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether one of the adults wants to take on this subject, but what makes FIRST Robotics stand out from other student experiences that you might have had or your friends are having?
Well, I know for me, because I'm going into the field of engineering, you can't really get real-world experience before college because I'm still 17. So you have to be 18 to be able to go and like work in any of these companies to get like the real like internship experience or whatever. But FIRST allows you to actually get like hands-on work and do what you'd be doing for your real life.
So, I mean, that's sort of what you touched on in the beginning, that it's very exciting, and it really did work with you. I mean, you now are going into engineering. I'm fascinated by that. I mean, it's so different than when I went to high school. So now I want to hear a little bit about the championship and when you were there and what that's like. So, first of all, how many went and how did you go?
Oh, geez.
Who wants to take that?
22. 22 students. We had Kurt, myself, and another parent mentor on the bus is how we went, which was a long bus ride. I think we left at 9 o'clock on Tuesday, and we got there about 9 or 10 o'clock on
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, okay, on Wednesday. You were in the back of the bus. You guys were watching that. Yes, a very long bus ride. And the same thing on the way back. So that's how we got there and came back. And we went with another team. We traveled with a team from New Haven, which was nice to have another team on board. And then we stayed about a half an hour outside of town because it was hard to get a place. There was over 30,000 people, so you've got to understand. Wow. It's not just the FIRST Robotics competition, which is the highest. That's what we are. There's also the FIRST Lego League, which is starting with like the really young kids, all the way up that come on to St. Louis at that time. And they actually have 2 competitions this year. They had to add Houston because it's growing too much. They can't just support it in one city. So they split it this year. So we had 2 championships. Yeah. And
so you as coaches, do you have these robot things? Do they actually exist? These are real things that you take along with you that you've built?
Oh, they're 100 pounds, up to 120 pounds it could be. They're big robots. They can, I mean, when you stop and think about kids building this in 6 weeks' time, that's all you have, 6 weeks. At the end of 6 weeks, you have to bag it and you keep your hands off it until the week before you have a competition. And then you can only take it up for 6 hours.
Yeah,
6 hours, right? And so it's just like work when you have a project and you have deadlines and you have a timeline, you've got to do it. So that's one other thing that makes it a little bit different too. So it's pretty exciting.
Did the robots go on the bus with you?
No, we had to ship it.
They're shipped FedEx. The rules make you ship them instead of bringing them with you. I think they're worried you might work on it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Nobody was worried that it might get lost.
Nope.
They're pretty good.
No, they're good about it. But we did do 2 competitions. So we did the 2 competitions, Waterbury and Hartford, before district events. We're a district...
New Hampshire.
Yep, and then New Hampshire, we made it to the district championship, New Hampshire. That was an overnight for us. And then, what did we get back from New Hampshire? And it was, how long did we have before we had to turn around and go to St. Louis? A week and a half?
Yeah, about a week and a half.
Week and a half. It's been a crazy few months. And so we had those 3 competitions before we went to the World Championship. But the World Championship's like the Super Bowl.
So these robots actually were used 4 times?
Yeah, you have to build up qualifying points to get to your regional championship for us, New Hampshire. And then if you do well there, to St. Louis. So there's a series of competitions to build up the points.
Well, I hope our viewers understood a little bit, and if they didn't, that they go watch the video. But it does sound like a lot of fun, and we've actually run out of time. Okay. And I'm so glad you joined us. I always love to have a student here. And you watching, don't you go away. We're going to be back in a flash, and I really mean a flash, and you'll learn more about this summer's STEM camp called Camp Invention for grade school kids, so don't go away. We're back. My guest for this part of the show is David Salonia. Salonia, is that how you pronounce it? He's a teacher of engineering at Simsbury High School. Welcome. I'm so glad you joined us for this part. You were mentioned in the first part.
Thank you.
I hear that you're starting a nationally recognized summer enrichment program for basically STEM things that we talked about in the beginning. And it's called Camp Invention, and it's going to be at this Simsbury High School, and it's going to be for kids grades 1 through 6?
Yes. It's going to be a first for us.
So what is this program, and why should parents consider sending their kids there?
Well, it's a remarkable program for youngsters, and basically what they get to do is exercise their creativity and develop a whole series of different types of products using standard engineering process steps that we teach actually at the high school. The whole program was started by the National Inventors Hall of Fame, and also sponsored by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Department. So it's very, very well known throughout the country, and there are 1,300 host sites right now across the country for Camp Invention. And we're joining. We have about 20 or so sites in Connecticut, so we'll be the 21st site that's starting the program.
So who had this idea that Simsbury should do something like that?
Well, actually, John C. Litwinick, who we saw earlier, sent me a flyer and said, "Hey, should we consider this?" And I looked it over, and I thought it was great because I've often thought that the best way to get kids interested in engineering is to expose them to it at a very young age. And I read something somewhere where it takes 14 years to raise an engineer. It's not just something that you just say, okay, I'm going to do this. You have to really prepare for it. So I thought that by introducing this program, we could get kids involved in engineering and STEM-related subjects and increase the enrollment at the high school for engineering and technology-related courses.
So this is for kids going into grades 1 through 6. What do the six-year-olds do at this?
Well, they all do the same types of activities, but the younger kids will probably do tasks that are a little bit less complex, and the older kids will do tasks that are a little bit more complex. But it's amazing how it works because the kids are working together in teams and in groups, and sometimes they compete against each other, and they learn the basic skills. And the main focus is problem solving, higher order thinking, and working together in teams, brainstorming, and a lot of trial and error toward the development of a product that works.
So how long does this camp last?
It's 1 week. It's Monday through Friday. Starts on the 10th of July and ends on the 14th.
And how long does it go for the day? Is it all day, half day, a couple of hours?
It's all day.
Mm-hmm.
It's all day. It's 8:30 to 2 o'clock.
And parents bring their kids to the high school?
Yes.
So you said it takes 17 years to create an engineer. Is that what you said?
Well, at least 12 years anyway. 12
okay, so
yeah.
I forgot. So tell me a little bit more about the projects they're going to do. I saw something about the duct tape billionaire and have a blast. What does that mean?
These projects are inspired by the inductees into the Hall of Fame. And they are relied upon to provide inspiration and ideas for some of these projects. The thing that I like about this program so much is it's very well developed. It has a set curriculum, and they supply all of the supplies that are needed. And it's basically a turnkey system.
So it's no lesson planning or anything. They just give it to you.
They do all the lesson planning. They give it to me, and I just make it happen.
So did you visit a camp like this someplace? Or
Haven't done it yet, but I will be doing that soon. This is just gelling right now in terms of the planning process for it, but it's looking really, really good. It's going to be conducted through the continuing education department, and it's been advertised in the flyer that goes out to all of the households in Simsbury. And we're also opening it up to students in Avon and Farmington, surrounding towns, if they would like to get involved as well.
So have you done summer programs like this before?
I have. I've been doing another program called Gateway Academy, and I started doing that in 2010. And so I've been doing that about going on 7 years, and that's geared toward the older kids, going into grades 5 through 8. And again, we do a variety of engineering-related hands-on projects that are designed to give them some background and some learning and engineering principles.
So let's say a parent is watching this or a grandparent is watching this, and so what is the pitch that you want to give to them? What are their children going to learn here? What is the advantage of doing something like this?
I think the biggest thing that their kids are going to learn is 21st century skills. No matter where you go today for a job, employers are looking for employees that have 21st century skills. What are they? Well, they want creative people. They want problem solvers. They want people that can work in teams, because a lot of work today is done in teams. People that can communicate well, people that can write, people that can sell their ideas to their peers and to upper management. All of those skills are critical today, and all of those skills are taught in this program. So it'll help them and when they get into the upper levels of school, it'll help them as well in their science courses, their math courses, in terms of an engineering curriculum, which is what I teach full time. We have found, and studies have found, that kids that are enrolled in engineering courses do much better in math, science, and English than kids that aren't involved with these types of classes, because it's all application based to the core areas.
So that's the goal, and it sounds fascinating, but my guess is that parents and kids also want to have a little fun. So this sounds like this does offer some fun. So.
It does. It's a lot of fun, and I was looking through a lot of the literature, and I was looking through the projects. There are 4 major projects that the kids will be doing this year. And that's the other thing I like about Camp Invention. The projects change every year. So a kid that is enrolled in Camp Invention in first grade, that student can come back in second grade and have a completely different experience, but along the same lines of engineering, STEM-based learning. There are 4 major projects. One is called Duct Tape Billionaire, and the kids have to design a variety of different products using duct tape. Everybody loves duct tape today. Yeah. It's used everywhere. And I've seen, even books written on how to make different things out of duct tape. So they're going to do that. But not only are they going to come up with the product or a series of products, but they're also going to learn how to market them and how to sell them to mock.
A little elevator speech.
Yeah, and how to sell them to mock investors. So that's the first one. The next one is called Have a Blast, and that has to do with physics of aerodynamics and action-reaction. Kids are going to make bottle rockets, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. They're going to build a castle, and they're going to compete against each other. Friendly competition, air cannons. They're going to do a lot of that kind of thing that has to do with flight and trajectories. Then the third one is called Mission Space Makers, and Mission Space Makers is for the kids to envision creation of a new world where human beings can survive. So they have to look at things like the environment, the atmosphere, the terrain, and invent ways that human life can exist on that particular planet.
Interesting.
The fourth one is called Operation Keep Out. And I like this one because what the kids get to do here is they get to take apart various appliances, machines, that have gears and sensors and a whole bunch of things that make those movements happen, take them apart, and then repurpose them into an alarm system that they can sell to kids and to protect their treasured valuables. So that one has to do more with electronics and sensors and controls. So they get a really, really good overview of a lot of engineering principles, and it's fun. You know, they're coming up with these products, and they're using them, and some of them they can actually take home as well.
So you're running the program. I'm assuming you have other teachers. Allie mentioned that she's going to be involved.
Yeah, one of the things that I did was in my engineering classes, I asked if any of the students were interested in helping out, volunteering, becoming lab assistants, because if we have several groups going at the same time, we're going to need to help them out. If they get stuck or if they need some help with whatever, and. So I'm recruiting my own engineering students, and it's great for them because they learn how to work with kids, and it reinforces, the program.
So it sounds fascinating. So I think we're going to show how to register. You go online at the Simsbury Continuing Ed site.
Yeah, you could go online, or you can call the Continuing Ed office, which is located at Henry James Middle School. And they can set up the parent, and
how much does this cost?
It's $250 for the week.
And what week was it again?
July 10th through the 14th. So it's the second week in July.
Second week in July. So we're almost out of time. But did I not ask you something that you wanted to make sure that people understand?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a great opportunity for kids. I think they're going to have a tremendous time. They're going to probably meet a lot of other kids, make new friends, and get help from kids that are older than them, so that they can progress much more quickly than they could if they were just working with their peers. So I like the fact that the groups are mixed with different ages, and they're all going to be working together. I'm looking forward to it.
It sounds fascinating. Maybe you'll come back next year and tell us how it went.
Yeah, I'd love to.
So, Dave, I'm so sorry we've run out of time. Thank you so much for coming and enlightening us. And this does sound like a fascinating program. I'd like to thank everyone here at SCTV behind the scenes for their help in getting this show on the air, including our volunteer cameramen, Joe Girgenti and Sam Davidson. And thanks especially to all my guests who we met earlier. And finally, thank you for joining us. If you missed any part of this show, you can find it on demand at simsburytv.org. A reminder, all Board of Education meetings air live on SCTV on Xfinity Channel 96 or 90, I always get it wrong, 95. And Comcast now has another new channel you can watch it on. It's 1070. And the board meetings are the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. And finally, we have a Facebook page at SCTV. We'd love it if you'd like us on Facebook. I'm Dominique Avery. See you next time for Simsbury School News.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.